Hain. I'm going to be reading your 6th grade science test to you today. Make sure you listen to the entire question and all of the answers before you select your answer. Also make sure you're paying attention because sometimes I will take off one of the answer options for you. Make sure you put your name, your hour, and the date at the top of your paper. Also remember that you can hit pause if you need to stop and think about your answer, or you can also go back in the video and re-listen to a question and the answers if you need to. So let's get started. Question number 1. Which of the following is true about cell structure and function? B. All cells have the same structure. Their function is determined by what organ they belong to. C. Cells can have many different structures. Their function is determined by their structure. Or D. Cells can have many different structures. Their function is determined by their mitochondria. Number 2. Which of the following is a subsystem of an organism? A. Cell, B. Organ system, C. Tissue, or D. All of the above? Remember, if I'm going too fast for you, it might be a good idea after each question to hit pause so that you can think about your answer and then hit play again to hear the next one. Number 3, your teacher asks you to examine a strange material to determine if it's a living organism. The image you are given is taken through a microscope, and in it, the thing looks like a coil or a rope. Along with the image, your teacher provides you with the following information about this strange thing. It can produce, but needs help from another organism to do so. It changes and adapts to its environment over time. It can move around. From these investigations, can you determine if the material is a living organism? So in that blank, you're going to put yes or no for A. And for B, you're going to write an explanation. If you answered yes above, explain the evidence and reasoning you used to arrive at your conclusion. If you answered no to the question above, explain what additional evidence you would need to determine if it's a living organism. Number 4. The model below shows a view from above a factory that builds small electronic toys. The brick walls of the factory are the boundary of the factory. In the corner, a generator turns fuel into energy. Doors control input and output, what goes in and out. Material going out is broken down in a trash compactor before leaving the factory. Conveyor belts move parts from one machine to the other. A large computer controls everything inside the factory. For each of the factory parts, choose an organelle, or a part of an organ, or the part of the cell that best matches the function of the organelle in the cell. Provide an explanation for your choice. The first one has been done for you. So for I, the computer is similar to the nucleus. And then you have to give an explanation. Why is that? For 2, the generator is similar to what cell part? And then give an explanation as to why. And for 3, the wall is similar to the what cell part? And then explain why. Number 5, the model below shows how the systems that make up a multicellular organism are organized. Fill in boxes using terms from Word Bank A to complete the model. Here's a hint. Use each term or word only once. One word from Word Bank A will be left over. So if you look at Word Bank A off to the right, it says tissues, organ system, cell, organ, population, and organism. You are only going to use 5 of those words and there will be 1 left over. Organ has already been filled in for you. So you're going to fill in the boxes from smallest to largest using word bank A. And then you're going to answer some questions. Now complete the sentences below to describe how these different systems work together to form a functioning organism. Use the scientific term from your model. The smallest living thing that can be said to be alive is a blank. They can come in many different shapes and sizes, but are usually microscopic. Groups of these form what? The structures formed by these help determine the function of the larger what? When several of these work together for a certain purpose, it is called what? The proper functioning of all of these subsystems is necessary for the survival of a or an what? Number 6. For the statement below, circle the response that correctly completes the statement. Then provide the reasoning you use to arrive at your answer. A leaf on the ground is living or non-living because you're going to first circle living or non-living. And if you think that it's living, you're going to say why. If you think that it's non-living, you're going to say why. So a leaf on the ground is living or non-living because. Number 7, what is true about the size and shape of cells? B, all cells are the same size, but not all cells are the same shape. C, all cells are the same shape, but not all cells are the same size. Or D, different cells can have both different sizes and different shapes. Number 8, chickenpox causes serious health problems in some children. This is especially true for children less than 1 year old. The histogram below shows the frequency of chickenpox reports in 1995 by age group. After 1995, a solution, a new vaccine, to help reduce the frequency of the disease was introduced. The histogram to the right shows the frequency of chickenpox reports in 2005, 10 years after the solution was introduced. So you have 2 different histograms. The first one on the left says frequency of chickenpox by age group 1995. And the one on the left says frequency of chickenpox by age group in 2005, so 10 years later. What do you notice about that? You're going to use this information to answer some questions below. Examine the claim below, complete the claim, then support your claim with evidence from the histogram and provide your reasoning. The claim is the solution is likely to reduce the frequency of serious health problems from chickenpox in children less than 1 year old. So Ms. Zegda has already provided your claim for you. She's saying that it is a solution. You have to provide the evidence using numbers from the graph. So the evidence, what information do I have that can support my claim? You're going to write a sentence or 2 here talking about what's happening in the graphs to support your claim that the solution is working. And then you're also going to fill in the reasoning. What science concept connects my claim and evidence? If you have to hit pause after any of these so that you can write, then go ahead and do that. Then you're going to answer a question. A, chickenpox virus enters the body through the lungs, but it infects the nerve cells. Which of the following explains why this is possible? 1, the lungs and the nerve cells are part of the same organ system. 2, all of the organ systems in the body interact. Or 4, The lungs are the highway that deliver oxygen to the other cells, including nerve cells. So if you need to hit pause to answer anything on this page that has to do with the histogram of the chickenpox, with the evidence and the reasoning, and then question A, make sure you hit pause and do that. Number 9, read the statements below. They contain information about the connection between drinking milk and tooth health. The first statement, milk's nutrients support the development of teeth and oral tissues in young children, which may help to protect against cavities. Although evidence is limited, milk's nutrients, such as calcium, may have a role in protecting against a gum disease in adults. The quote is adapted from the National Dairy Council. The National Dairy Council is an organization which helps dairy sell their milk. And the next statement, after a tooth comes in, calcium can neither be taken from nor added to the tooth. After the tooth comes into the mouth, drinking milk cannot strengthen the tooth. Our last teeth come into the mouth at around 17 to 20 years of age. This quote is adapted from J. Thomas Russell, who is a dentist in Ohio and an oral surgeon with the United States Army. So the first claim is saying that milk does help after the teeth have come in, and that's the dairy farmers who are saying that. And the second statement is from a dentist, and he's saying it doesn't matter once the teeth have come in. So now you're going to answer some questions. A, below describe any potential biases each of these sources may have. The National Dairy Council and Dr. Russell, using the claims above. B, the National Dairy Council has expertise in milk and the nutrients it contains. On what subject would you expect Dr. Russell to have an expertise? C, a tooth has 3 main layers, the dentin, the enamel, and the pulp. Below, the structure of each layer is described. As with many parts of the human body, the structure of the part allows it to perform its intended function. Based on these descriptions of the tooth structure, fill in the blank with the letter that best describes the function of each layer. So first I'll read the structure to you, and then I'll read the function, and then you have to match A, B, or C over to the correct structure. Okay, structure 1 is the dentin. It's firm but light like bone. It is also full of many microscopic holes. Dentin makes up about half of the tooth. Its function is A, to bring nutrients and oxygen to the tooth and take away waste products. B, to provide the overall shape of the tooth and to provide support for outer layers of the tooth. Or C, to protect inner layers of the tooth. Structure number 2 is the enamel. It's the hardest tissue in the human body. It is a thin, smooth layer of the tooth. Its function is to A, bring nutrients and oxygen to the tooth and take away waste products. B, provide the overall shape of the tooth and provide support for outer layers of the tooth. Or C, to protect inner layers of the tooth. Structure number 3 is the pulp. It's soft and contains blood vessels, and its function is to A, bring nutrients and oxygen to the tooth and take away waste products. B, provide the overall shape of the tooth and to provide support for outer layers of the tooth. Or C, to protect the inner layers of the tooth. Number 10. Researchers are working to optimize a treatment to fight a common disease. Which of the following is true about organ structure and function? A, the function of an organ is determined only by the kinds of structures formed by the cell. B, the function of an organ is determined only by the types of cells from which it is made. Or C, the function of an organ is determined by both the types of cell and the kinds of structures they form.